Now this is a story that happened here in Louisiana. It was something that happened to me recently. I was out dancing by the Mississippi River in my finest red dress. There was a band setting up a wild tune. I could see the current in the background, and the barges honking by, and the fish jumping, and wild birds calling. I danced in the night, so hard I nearly wore out the soles of my shoes. I was whirling and whirled myself near to a frenzy. I almost lost my mind. When I came to, I was sitting in a boat, caught in that current, going quickly over the water. I was still in my favorite red shoes, and my favorite red dress, and my shoes had their soles nearly worn out, only I wasn't dancing anymore. No, I was floating, and every so often the boat would give a whirl. Now where can I be, I asked. I promised myself never to dance again, and I realized that I wasn't on a river anymore, but floating in a deep, dark swamp. There were cypress trees high overhead, dripping moss that seemed to glow in the moonlight. There were lily pads, and every so often a fat frog would splash into the water. I grew frightened and I called out, and the owl answered back, "Hoo-hoo!" And I said, "Who?" And the owl said, "Hoo-hoo!" I nearly thought the place was haunted, and I wished I were safe back in bed with the sheets high over my head. And I realized the boat had oars, and I gripped them tight, and I rowed with a frenzy, the same frenzy that overcame me when I danced. It was an old boat made of wood, and I gripped those oars so tight I had splinters in my palms. But that's neither here nor there. But though I rowed and rowed, I seemed to go in circles and past the same dark overhang with chirping crickets. The moon shone down on me, and I was no closer to my goal. That's when I hit something. Hard like a rock. Only it couldn't be. Not here. Not in Louisiana, where the sand's as fine as silt. It wasn't rough either. I could tell. I nearly froze, but tapped my feet and tapped my teeth, thinking that it must be a gator, and by sunrise I'd be in his long belly. And I heard it, a long, deep howl, half a wildcat's, and half a mournful, rich, ripe song. I felt sorrowful, so sorrowful, and I would have shed a tear, but a head peered out of the water. There he is. And what would I do? I whacked it with that organ, and it howled deeper and meaner, and there was a flash, and like a big bat up above me he rose. What are you?" he asked. "I'm a dragon, sure as you can see," he answered. That he was, though no bigger than a cat. "And you're in my swamp," he said. "I'm sorry, Mr. Dragon," I answered, as sweetly as I could. "I don't want to cause trouble." He snorted. "Well, in my swamp, you follow my rules." "Yes, Mr. Dragon. Now you were dancing so well at that club on the river. Why don't you dance for me?" "Dance," I said. "I can't dance in this old boat." "Then tap your feet." I said. "I can't dance, tap them with no music." And so the dragon hummed, and he hummed so rich and deep, I thought I was back at that club on the river, with the saxophone wailing and the trumpets as high as flying birds, and I couldn't help myself. I stood up. I rocked the boat back and forth, and the dragon flew over my head. "Stop it, Mr. Dragon," I said. "You're going to kill me. I'm going to fall in this water, and I never learned to swim." "More fool you," he said. "You're in my swamp, and you dance to my tune." And he hummed again, this time so fast my ankles could barely keep time. Now I was crying and whimpering and whining. Please stop, Mr. Dragon. The boat's going to tip at any moment. Tell me what you want. And the dragon stopped. He tilted his head and seemed to think. I'll tell you what I want, he said. I want to go to that club by the river, and I want to dance, same as you do. Well, that's no problem, Mr. Dragon, I said. The boat was full to my ankles, and my stockings were sopping. Just please don't sing no more. So we made our way to the club. I don't know where we were going, but we made fast time, and we got there. The couples were whirling so quickly, they didn't see the girl with the dragon over her head. The lights were flashing, and the music was sweet and low. They didn't see me pull myself to the dock, shivering and shaking with that dragon over my head. Now, he said, we've made it safely here, and I want you to dance with me. I laughed in his face. I won't do it, I said. Now he grew so angry that smoke came from his nostrils and fire from his eyes. Now, miss, you made me a promise, and you're a swamp. Your rules. Now we're in my club, and you can't hurt me here. He shook his head and flapped his wings. And you guess what he did next? That's right. He hummed. Yes, he hummed, and now it was sweeter than honey, lower than a dipping ladle. Next, fast, fast. And all the time I had to dance, faster than before. And you won't believe what happened. That dock began to rock, back and forth, and back and forth, and all the couples were near to spilling off. They didn't notice, but I sure did. I thought I was in a whirligig. I began screaming and wailing, "Stop it, Mr. Dragon! Let's dance, let's dance!" And he stopped, and the dock went back straight. He flapped his wings and flapped again, nodding his head to the tune. "All right," he said, and he turned into a fine young man with legs as fast as light. I barely had time to notice we danced so quick. We were hand in hand, arm in arm, and there was fire in that young man's eyes. We danced until sunrise, and I thought, maybe I'll say a word to him. But he disappeared, poof, in a cloud of smoke. After that, I promised myself I would never dance again. But of course,